Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 850A, and today's date is December 23rd, 2015, and the title of the episode is The Trade Wars Have Begun. U.S. Provokes China with Additional Tariffs. Now, before I get started with the report, I just have a couple announcements. Tomorrow, December 24th, there will be a news brief. Friday, December 25th, there will be no report. Tomorrow, December 24th, I'll be uploading an interview with Bill Holter onto the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. If you subscribe with X22 Report Spotlight, you should get an email from YouTube. If you've signed up to the X22Report.com email alerts, I will email you when this video goes live, or you can just come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the video right there. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. As Saudi Arabia continually pushes their agenda, of course, under the guidance of the United States, they're continually suppressing the oil prices, and it's really taking its toll on a lot of countries. If we look at Canada, we see the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers. They're very worried about their oil and gas sectors because they're saying they're going to be losing about 100,000 jobs this year. Even if oil prices, they say, rise fast next year, nothing's going to change whatsoever. It has already damaged this area. And we're seeing the same thing here in the United States. Since the oil prices have been suppressed, it has been hurting certain parts of the energy sector here in the United States. Now, we know why they're doing this. They're putting pressure on Russia, trying to destroy their economy, which it's not working. They're also helping the corporations out, especially like airlines, delivery companies that make delivery that use a lot of fuel. And this is saving them billions and billions of dollars. Without this, most of these companies would be in a huge amount of trouble right now. And as we can see, moving into this new year, this holiday season right now is a complete disaster. Now, some information came out today that personal spending has risen by 0.3% in November, in line with expectations and up from a 0.1% increase the month before. And what we're seeing is that people are not saving. People are spending, but we have to look closely at where this is coming from. And when we look closely at this, we see that the spending is coming from wage increases. The spending is coming from a 20 billion service producing industry. 3 billion is coming from government. And are people actually spending more? No, actually, consumer spending is declining, not improving whatsoever. But where people are spending is basically eating out. We're seeing an increase of about 4.6%. And normally this occurs when the economy starts to fall apart. And we've seen this in the past leading up to a complete collapse because people say, okay, I don't need that product. I don't have money for that, but I do have to feed myself. So I can justify going out to eat. And this is where I'll spend my money right now. And eventually what happens, this also then falls apart. But we know that the people in the United States here, this holiday season, they are not spending their money. Retailers are already reporting sales are way down. J.Crew, their sales are down 12% this holiday season. Gap, their sales are down 4%. Macy's is reporting a 3.9% drop in sales. And they're saying as they go forward, it's going to get worse during coming towards the end of this holiday season. Banana Republic, sales are down 12%. Dick's Sporting Goods, sales are down. Aeropostale, sales are down 10%. So when we look at this, we can see a lot of the stores right now, they are not doing well whatsoever. This holiday season is a complete and utter disaster. And as we come out of this holiday season, we are going to see a lot of stores close. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs in retail. We're going to see more corporations saying, you know something, we need to cut costs. We need to let people go, because as we know, as this economy continually falls apart, sales are declining, revenue is not coming in, and if this is not happening, guess what? They're going to let people go, and we have been seeing this all throughout this year, and it's going to accelerate coming in 2016. Now, they're continually trying to convince us that housing is really recovering, but we just saw the existing home sales. They're down by 10%. Now, of course, they're saying, well, new home sales, oh my God, these are doing fantastic. Everything looks great. But when we really look at this, and we look back in 2014, the period May to November, the initial new home sales prints amounts to 2.779 million houses. A post-revision, the number plunged to 22% to 2.16 instead of what they were recording. So what they did is they went back and they revised all their numbers, and it's 22% lower than what they initially told us. This was back in 2014. So housing isn't doing as well as they said. So let's fast forward to today, when the Department of Commerce pleasantly surprised everyone when it reported that November new home sales, while missing expectations of about 505,000, rose to 490,000 from 470,000 in October. Sounds great. The housing recovery, it's completely on track. There's only one problem. The original October print of 495,000, which if maintained would have meant a decline of 5,000 in November. Not only were there downward revisions between the November and October on the government data, but as the chart that I'm looking at shows, over the past 5 months, the data has been consistently revised lower with every incremental release. So basically they're lying. They're telling us, yes, these are the housing sales, and then they're going back and lowering them dramatically. And you can see this chart on the X22Report.com, or if on YouTube, you can see it on YouTube. So you can see that this information that they're giving us, they're going back and lowering it to the real statistical numbers. But they don't tell anyone that. So everyone believes that everything is fine. So what are we seeing now? We're seeing home builder optimism now in decline. Existing home sales completely falling, and they are trying to convince us that new home sales are increasing. Well, they manipulated the data. If we remove what they've done, it's in decline. So everything is declining now, and housing prices are flatline and coming down at this point. The entire system is one gigantic illusion. Let's look at durable goods here. They have plunged for 10 consecutive months. The only thing that lifted durable goods was the defense spending, because as we know, the U.S. government, central bankers are pushing war in the Middle East, in Europe, in the Pacific, and defense spending pushed durable goods up. If we strip that out, what do we see? It's a complete disaster. With defense spending in there, new orders soared 148%, the biggest rise since 2007. If we remove all that, the economy is an utter disaster, flashing a depression. The Atlanta Fed came out, and they have said we need to revise the fourth quarter GDP. Now it is at 1.3. They started at, if you remember, 3%. They brought it down to 2.5%. They brought it down to 1.9%. We are now at 1.3%. But you have to remember, they stuff a lot of other things in the GDP. Research and development, Obamacare. They're putting whatever they possibly can into GDP to pump it up. But even with all that, it's continually being lowered and lowered and lowered and revised because the economy is not doing well whatsoever. Russia right now, they are ready to pump credit into Iran's banks. They're going to be granting them about $2 billion loan to Iran. The funds will be used to finance railways, construction, power plants, new electrical infrastructure. And we're already seeing trade wars have begun. In November, import prices from China decreased by 1.5% over the past 12 months. This is the largest year-over-year drop since the index declined 1.7 for the year ended in January 2010. Logically, the less domestic demand for steel and the greater China steel exports, the lower price continues to tumble, now at a 10-year low. That's because mills, smelters, refineries are producing more than they need amid slowing domestic demand and shipping the excess overseas. Now, this flood of Chinese supplies is roiling manufacturers around the world and exacerbating trade frictions. The steel market is being overwhelmed with metal from China's government-owned and state-supported producers. So we are seeing that prices are dropping. Countries basically are saying, okay, this is having a huge impact on us. And what we're seeing right now is a trade war. Now, I think Gerald Celente says we have a currency war, we have a trade war, and we have a world war. Well, here we are at a trade war, because right now, coming out of the U.S. Department of Commerce, they're saying that they're going to impose a tax of 256% on China's steel. They're basically placing this tariff on China. The measure is clearly aimed exclusively at China's dumping of steel on the U.S. market. Now that the U.S. has fired the first trade war shot, it will be up to China to retaliate. So it will do so either by devaluing its currency or basically dumping their U.S. treasuries. And the question is, if China decides to dump its treasuries, who's going to pick it up? The Fed? And add it to their balance sheet? So what we're seeing right now is basically a complete breakdown of the entire system. Where we're seeing first with the currency wars, now we're seeing a trade war, and world war is already being started all around the world. And we can see that the United States is continually provoking China. And what this tells us is that this economy is at a point where the U.S. government central bankers will not be able to keep the system running for that much longer. There will be some type of black swan. There will be some type of an event. There will be something that they cannot control. And they don't want this to happen. And as they've been pushing their agenda, they want to control the meltdown of the system, the collapse of the system. And we've already gotten the signal from the Fed. They raised the rates. And this is the first signal to let us know they are prepared and ready to bring down this economy. They're just waiting for other things to be in alignment. And once they are, we will see this event where they can blame this on another country or group. And we see pieces now are fitting together. And everyone needs to be ready and prepared, because once this occurs, you don't want to be one of those people that are running around trying to find food, trying to get cash out of the ATM, wishing that you bought some gold or silver. You want to be one of those people that, you know something, I've been ready for this. I have food, I have water, I have supplies, I have gold, I have silver, I have cash on hand, I have a weapon to protect my family, I have toiletries. You name it, I have it. I even have a little extra so I can bring other families in if needed. Now, if you've been preparing, continually prepare. If you haven't started, I would start right now. You can go to lifereliance.com. They have bug out bags, pre-made food. You can customize your order. They have seeds, water filtration systems, whatever you need. But whatever you're doing, don't stop. Because as we move into this next year, everything is going to accelerate. Things are not just going to get automatically better. Things are not going to be, oh, look, the economy just improved out of nowhere. We've had 7 years of bubbles. We have 7 years of absolutely no improvement. It is a complete illusion. Talk to those people who are out of work. You know, those 100+ million people who would like to work but can't find work. Or how about talk to the people that had a very good job but only can find 2, 3 part-time jobs? We can see we are headed down this path, and it's only going to get worse. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.